Hi, Warren. Thank you for joining us today.
Hey, my pleasure,
Thank
Rhonda.
you. Thank you.
Thank you for
Well,
inviting me.
happy to have you. Happy to have you.
Yes.
I just want to share with the viewers today. Thank you again for joining us on the road to recovery. I'm your host, Ronda Jackson, serial entrepreneur and small business advocate. I'm here to share resources and expertise that has afforded me much of my success and I feel is critically vital to our business survival. The information presented or discussed during this presentation is for informational purposes only. It's not legal, it's not tax, it's not finance advice of any kind. It's provided as is, without warranty of any kind, either expressed or implied. So if you're on board for some advice from a friend, if you will, other advocates in the community like Warren Cooley here. Warren is the managing principal of Warren Cooley LLC, and we welcome him today. Warren, if you want to tell us a little bit about your business and maybe your experience as an expert in this field.
Thank you, Rhonda. So my business, I'm a business slash economic advisor. How's that for a impressive title?
I
So
like the slash. Right. Okay. So then now should we highlight what we should have already done at
yes,
by this
yes,
point?
there you go. So
Okay.
I'm assuming that each one of you, I've got 5 things here that you all should have done. All of you business owners should have done. You should have taken it. You should be in the process of taking advantage of government programs. It's frustrating. I get it. They're behind the 8 ball. I just read just before I came on with Rhonda today that SBA's way behind in processing the economic injury disaster loan applications, and but anyway, there are opportunities out there, and so you should be taking advantage of all the government program opportunities. You should be renegotiating your contracts. Most of you
Ah,
have one of 2 things. You probably have a lease. If you have a lease, you need to be talking to your landlord. And I've been working with clients to leases are kind of a favorite of mine just because when I had retail stores, I had some bad leases. So I sort of learned the ropes of what you can do to renegotiate leases. But anyway, you should be talking to your landlord, and you need to be talking to if you've got loans, you need to be talking to the lender, and then you need to be talking to people, your accounts payable people, and just not having a conversation with them is not a good idea, because it's like sweeping things under the rug, and they don't go away. When they come back, when they finally do surface, they typically surface in a worse condition than they did before if you would have
yeah.
dealt with them earlier. So renegotiate contracts. You need cash, so do everything you can to collect any outstanding cash you have out there. Go after it. Give people discounts if they'll basically pay now, even if that wasn't part of your original agreement, but you need to get cash in hand.
Okay.
And
They have a saying. Does that still apply? Cash is king.
cash rules.
Cash.
Cash is the food of our table in business. Increase productivity. So it could be that I think that what does increased productivity? It means you've probably got to work longer hours. You may have some key staff that you're still paying that needs to work longer hours. And then from a staff standpoint, you need to have already dealt with what you're going to do with your staff. Is there some of the staff you're going to hold on to, and they're included in your payroll loan application process? Are others that you're going to let go of? So you need to get that taken care of, and then you need to rein in spending, and the spending the only person authorized for any spending to take place is the owner.
Okay.
So you rein it all in. You're the one in control. And so if you need to have done those 5 things.
Okay. So let me just recap. So we
Okay.
have take advantage of the government programs.
Right.
We said get our arms and communicate about our accounts payable and
Right.
vendors that we owe or have balances
Right.
due.
Mm-hmm.
And also on the reverse side of that, we need to take a hold of our account receivables and try to collect as much as we can. I think the speaker earlier in the week called to have a fire sale, like liquidate inventory.
Yeah, do anything you can do to get cash in your hand. Do it.
Okay, so cat. Well, not anything. Not
Yeah.
anything.
Well, no.
But
Yeah.
not
Thank
anything,
you for
but
your credit.
okay.
Anything legal that you can
Anything
do, that
legal.
you
Okay.
own, sell it, whatever you can, whatever
Yes.
sounds like a good idea, do it.
Right. So then that's the three. And then the fourth one has to do with, which I know a lot of us, including myself, are wrestling with, is the staff situation. I know that there are several programs. If folks that are watching haven't been on the Economic Development's website, to definitely go to
Right.
EDD. The California Economic Development website, and then cutting
Right.
expenses. So we're controlling the in and the out is what I'm
Yeah.
understanding.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
And use it as an opportunity. Well, I'll talk about this in a minute, but uh, use it as an opportunity. They're part of this cutting back is you have a good opportunity to get rid of some things you want to get rid of. And unfortunately that includes some employees.
I understand.
Yeah. Got it.
Okay. Hard choices, a lot of
Hard choices.
So now are we ready to go to Q2? So we're checked off our boxes there.
So we got our boxes checked off.
Yes.
Now, during this time frame, there's also some opportunities that can happen during this crisis time frame. And this is the time frame between now and the end of June.
Okay.
And I'm going to use Rhonda as an example, but she and I have interacted prior to today. I've known Rhonda for quite a number of years.
Yes.
And she's used me as kind of a sounding board here recently. And so she's created a program for those when people reopen their offices, corporate entities reopen their offices, a high-level cleaning program to get the offices ready and clean and up to speed so that people can go back to work in them. So that may not be something that she chooses to do over the long haul, and it may be, but it's something that is definitely needed in this crisis point. I've got another client. Well, I'll save this example for later because it's kind of a better example. But there are people who are, I mean, think of the people who are making face masks. Yeah. And face masks was not their business. Making other protective gear, and I think of an architect that has, because they have a 3D machine in their office, they've designed 5 or 6 different face masks out of plastic face masks that can be used. And so those are the kind of things.
The most intriguing to me are the distilleries that have converted some of their facilities for hand sanitizer.
For hand sanitizer.
Yeah.
Right. They know how to mix things.
Yes.
Yeah.
So no, they get the right mixture between the alcohol and everything.
Right.
So, okay. So we are entering into crises. I hear you say that we're going into some sort of opportunity mode, right?
So now after crises, and you've all, so after crises comes, this is the opportunity, one of the opportunities for significant innovation. Mm-hmm. And significant innovation, I think innovations kind of comes at 2 levels. Innovation happens at a theoretical level. You and I could theoretically sit around the table, talk about innovation. We could do this, we could do that. But the pressure is the mother of invention. I mean, basically it gives us a reason. We have to do something.
Yes.
We have to do something. If this business is going to survive, we have to make changes, and there's opportunities for us to make changes. And so where do you look? I think a word that I like that is going to be applicable to you and your business as you go forward is the word pivot. There's going to be certain places in your business where you're going to have to pivot.
Okay.
And that can be new products and services you offer. It can be a whole range of different things. And there's kind of a planning process that I'll kind of close with when we talk at the end. But pivot. And so, you look for new opportunities. The easiest place to find new opportunities we call it, I'm the business advisor in the Goldman Sachs 10,000 Small Business Program. And so we call it pain points. But look at the pain points. There's going to be pain points out there in your market, your target market, the group of people that you either cater to now or that you can cater to subsequently, call them target markets. There's pain points. Think of the things that you can do to cater to those pain points. And
do I also hear you suggesting that we look for some of these opportunities in our existing client base?
Yeah, look in your existing, because in your existing, they're going to have new. I don't like to use the word, but that's what they're going to have new fears. They're going to have new pains that need to be overcome.
Yes.
New needs, yes. New ways to. It's going to take longer than the end of this year for people to feel particularly comfortable about just mingling like we used to mingle. Yeah. And so are there online sales opportunities to take advantage of that there weren't before? Are there decor items in houses, because people may be spending more time in houses? And part of seizing this demand is that there's an educational component to market demand anyway. It's not just this latent demand that's out there waiting for you to come along and meet it. It's got an educational part to it. You need to educate people that they have a need.
All right. No, that's wonderful. So we've made it through our 5 steps. We've created some opportunity. And I love how you pointed out that these aren't just sounding board lists in our notebooks. These are actionable things that we can do.
Yeah, yes? These are actionable things that you can do.
Yeah. So one of the things that I am really focusing on through the road to recovery is that information plus implementation equals transformation.
Okay.
That's our motto.
So being a planner type, so I make a living preparing economic plans and business plans, helping people prepare economic and business plans. They're most often written, but occasionally there are people they just have a good plan in their head. Mm-hmm. And they think tactically. And so, but if you put planning into a tactical tactics and strategy, and so strategy is kind of a longer view. Where are we going? And tactics these are the steps we need to make to get. These are the steps we need to take to get there. So I got a quick little document I put together at the beginning of this process called a recovery plan outline. And so in this recovery plan outline, so identify in your recovery plan, identify the actions you're going to take. Okay. And justify them. So you have actions you're going to take, but they're only statements, they're only ideals until you actually put assumptions under them. So here's the actions I'm going to take. Okay. Here, that action is based on this assumption, this assumption, this assumption. That action's based on.
For an example, okay. So if one of my action is to now offer these professional cleaning service, that's with the assumption that my clients will want to, create a safe environment for their employees to return to.
Yeah, and the next step of that part would basically be how many of them are there? What's the magnitude? Okay. What's the magnitude of that market? So that can be my assumption. One of my assumptions is that there's 1,000 businesses that fit into this category. I've done some research. I found out that there's 1,000 businesses. Here's a list of some of them that I could identify. So list your assumptions. So this is the market I'm going after. Here's the service I'm going to provide. Here's the uniqueness of what I'm. Why would somebody choose me? I used Ronda as an example beforehand. So why is somebody going to choose Ronda's business over another vendor that may provide the same service? And so uniqueness can be any number of things. You can have a uniqueness that's just established you're a better marketer than other people. You have better relationships than other people. You have there's anything that's definable that gives you a competitive advantage is actually a uniqueness. So, but state what it is. This is what's unique about me, because where you're going with this is you're going to get to a place where you want to do some financial projections, because at the end of the day, at the end of the day, we think and we idealize and we do all that, but we need to put pencil to paper here, and we need to say, okay, if I do these are my assumptions,
Right.
and this is what I'm going to offer to this market. This is how many of these items or this service I'm going to sell at this price. Here's my anticipated revenue in month 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and do it for 15 months. So do a projection. If you're projecting, if you started projecting in July, let's just say you started in the first month of the third quarter. So in July, this is my projection. July, August, September, October, November, December, and that takes us through, I think, 7 months through the end of the year. And you might be able to, you might take it to the middle of 2021. And so project your revenue, make your assumptions clear, and project your related operating expenses. So you have a true picture, and you're really trying to decide, is this viable or not? I mean, is this realistic? And often it's a good idea to have a third party to kind of run this by, have somebody that just look at it. And I do that all the time with people. Warren, can I get on the phone with you for a half hour or something? And let's talk through my plan assumptions. And, but then once you get that's your plan. Now, I'll stop because I need to take a breath and let Rhonda ask another question.
I do have a couple of questions.
Okay, got it.
Okay, so the time frame of 15 months, in addition to planning out viability, is that significant to the plan for recovery? Is there a certain amount
I'd say the plan, I read a scary I read a lot, so it's unfortunate that sometimes you get all of these views on things. I read some economist's view yesterday that says it'll take us 5 years to basically wring out all the damage that this pandemic has caused. And I don't know whether, it's going to be a new normal for sure. This didn't happen. If this would have just been a 30-day occurrence, just happened in 30 days, situation was pretty bad for 30 days. And then we get on with life kind of the way it was before. But it's going to take a while. Then today I saw a V. So you get down to the bottom of the pit somewhere like I described earlier, in mid-year somewhere. Yeah. And then by the end of the first quarter of next year, you get back up to the top, and there's a good fast recovery. Okay. And I want that to be the answer.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. I don't want the 5 years to be the answer.
But the planning beyond, to your point,
right,
make for viability, right?
Right.
Also whether or not you can sustain it, because sustain
it.
So what if it goes beyond June? What if it goes beyond July? So at least you have a plan that can kind of take you through, another cycle or another phase.
And you have good assumptions that you can change. So as you go along, if reality sets in and things are better than that you anticipated, you can change your assumptions and change your projections. Yeah. If they're worse, you can basically do the opposite of that. Okay. And if anybody, if you can contact Ron, if anybody wants I've got a template packet that I put together that you can use for projection purposes, for P&Ls and balance sheets and all that kind of thing. And I'd be glad to send it to her, and she can provide to you. I can provide it directly to you, whatever you want to do.
Okay. We'll follow up, because part of it is, being that well and having those resources, we'll share the information.
Right.
And definitely also share a way to contact you as well, Warren. So if you want, maybe now even just to kind of share your website or the best way to reach you.
Okay. Well, you can, so my website is econdevconsult.com. So it's ECONDEV consult, consult.com. That's my website. Mm-hmm. My email address is warren@econdevconsult.com. And then if anybody wants to call me, my business phone line is 805-390-3328.
Okay. So what I'd like to do with the remainder of our time, if you don't mind, is just do a recap because it sounds like we're going to need a part two. Because even the work ahead and to go back and revisit if I've done the 5 key steps
Right.
and to get my plan for optimal success, I think in order for people to really benefit from that last phase of the planning, they kind of have to have an actual concrete idea or concept in mind. And it'd be nice to have those financials along with your advice. So if
Eh,
you don't mind, if I could invite you
Yeah.
back for that part
No,
two.
that's good. We can bring up we can bring up some things on the screen
Yes.
use the screen too to
Okay.
basically show people.
So let's do that then. So let's just do a
Okay.
recap. So what advice, I mean, you've given us a lot of knowledge, but what advice would you ask a business owner to act on today? Like,
Okay. So make sure you've done the 5 things I talked about first. So make sure you've taken advantage of the government programs.
mhm,
Make sure that you're paying attention to your contracts, renegotiating where you can. Make sure that you're taking a look at all your operating expenses, cutting what you can cut,
okay.
and taking and that includes payroll, dealing with payroll in a realistic kind of a way,
Yes.
and uh, and then make sure that you're the only one that can approve spending. You, the owner of the business, the only one that can approve any spending that takes place,
Yes.
and then just it's kind of a more soft recommendation, I think, but just increase productivity. I mean, we're all going to be working more hours, and and our people that we decide to uh, work with us are going to be working more hours. That's just kind of the name of the game when it goes along. Think of that's you should do now. The next summary step is basically think of recovery in 2 phases.
Okay.
First phase is over the next 60 days. What are there opportunities that you see in this crisis mode that you can take advantage of? And most of you are working from home, and I don't know when we're not going to be working from home, but anyway, you're working from home. You figured it out up to this point in time.
Mhm.
So see if there's opportunities that you can take advantage of that may or may not align with your business, and there may not be any, but evaluate it, evaluate pain points, see if there's pain points that you observe that you could quickly transition to. Like I use the architect example and other examples that you could quickly transition to. And uh, and then the next phase of that is, okay, we're in the recovery mode. We're at the end this, and at the same time we're doing this in this crisis mode, we've arrived at the end of our 30 days. We're at the end of whatever we thought we could put together on our own without reinventing our business to a certain extent. So use this as some innovation opportunity to
Yes.
create some new ways to do things.
Yeah.
And then the last part of that is put together a 12 to 15 month recovery plan. A written, I would encourage you to do it written. I know that I said that there are people who just have it recorded in their mind, but I would encourage you to do it written, because then everything is there in front of you. And Rhonda said we'll talk about this in phase 2 of our discussion, but it's all in front of you, and if you change your projections, if you change your assumptions, you change your projections,
Yeah. And it's all correlated.
and
So
it's all correlated. Everything
yeah.
works together.
Thank you for this. So, but that's also a living, breathing document. So that's
Living,
why,
breathing document.
yeah. So
If
that's why I
you,
think we need to divide this into 2
yeah,
sessions.
right,
First session is get shored up,
right,
get access, get that cash on board and
right,
make sure that you renegotiated the contracts that are available to you.
right.
And then also once you have that plan and that concept and idea, I think the next level of this conversation will be much more applicable and much more beneficial.
Yeah,
When people can we're out of crisis mode mentally because we've applied a lot of the advice that you've given today.
yeah.
How's
Thank
that
you.
sound? That sounds good. Okay, well, thank you again very, very much, Mr. Warren Cooley of Warren Cooley LLC. We appreciate your expertise and knowledge. And if you want to share just one more time the website for us, please, that we could gain.
So the website is econdevconsult.com. There's a if you go to the resource section of that website, there's a quite a number of free resources for you. There's
Okay.
there's blogs on there. So it's a trove of information.
Yeah. So, but no what is it? Analysis paralysis, though.
Yeah, no, you got
Thank
it.
you.
It's all, you got to use it to make,
Again, yes.
yeah, you got to use it to take action.
Yes. Information plus implementation
Yeah,
equals transformation. All right.
that's right.
Thank you all for joining us today. Thank you again, Warren. All
You're
right.
welcome. Thank you, Rhonda.
Again. You're welcome. Thank you.